Okay, now I want to make this video because this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, right? Jon Jones. Everybody calls him the greatest of all time in the UFC. I personally disagree with that. But if, let's say, to all the Jon Jones fans, all the Jon Jones glazers, right? Let's say he is the greatest of all time. Let's say he is the GOAT. Why in the whippity dippity fuck is Jon Jones ducking Tom Aspinall? Why is this happening, right? Well, in today's video, I'm going to break down, is Jon Jones ducking Tom Aspinall? And if so, why? Now, open curtain. I'm going to be an open curtain here, okay? Jon Jones is clearly ducking Tom Aspinall, okay? Now, a lot of people are confused as to why that is. Well, you know, and also a lot of people are also going to be curious as to why Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones fighting is so important. And I'm going to break that down before I get into anything else, okay? About 4 or 5 years ago, Jon Jones had to stop fighting in the UFC heavyweight division because of a pec muscle tear, a pectoral muscle tear. He took, I think it was 2 to 4 years off, if I remember correctly. My memory's a little fuzzy right now because I haven't slept in a long time, but ignore that. So, Jon Jones had to take some time off. In the time of the undisputed champion being unable to fight, a interim champion comes along until the champion, the undisputed champion, is able to make a return. Tom Aspinall became the interim champion while Jon Jones was away. Now Jon Jones came back, and he's fighting Stipe Miocic. Why is Jon Jones fighting Stipe Miocic, you may ask? Well, it's because before Jon Jones got his pectoral muscle tear, he had plans to fight Stipe Miocic. And even way before then, he was talking about fighting Stipe Miocic in heavyweight, okay? Now that is the whole reason that him and Stipe Miocic are fighting in the first, did fight in the first place. But here's the thing, okay? I don't feel as if that fight should have ever happened. And let's say they were going to have that legacy fight. Don't have it be for the undisputed title. Obviously, Jon won, okay? And that's fine. We all should have expected that Jon Jones was going to be a, 42-year-old Stipe Miocic who's already retired once or twice already before this fight. So I don't know why it was a big shocker to anybody that Stipe lost, okay? But it's not a huge accomplishment for Jon Jones. It's really not. If it was Stipe Miocic in his prime and they were both in their prime, okay. I can understand how that would be an accomplishment. Okay? But Jon Jones is supposed to fight Tom Aspinall because you got to look into the rules and regulations of the UFC. While the undisputed champion is away, the interim champion takes over. When the undisputed champion returns, the interim champion is automatically stripped of his title because of the fact that the interim champion and the undisputed champion are supposed to fight immediately after the undisputed champion can return. That way the belts can be unified. That way the undisputed belt and the interim champion belt can become one, and there is no longer two champions in a certain weight class. A lot of people don't realize this. Now, there are two champions in the UFC heavyweight division. This is not something that should be happening. In no combat sport are you going to see two champions at one single time for this long of a duration of time. Now, Jon Jones is clearly ducking Tom Aspinall. Anybody can see this. I think Stevie Wonder could see this, and if I'm not mistaken, his ass is blind as hell. Now, the whole thing that I'm getting at here is Jon Jones is ducking Tom Aspinall. Why? Well, because Jon Jones is, 37, 38 now? Tom Aspinall, I believe, is in his early to mid-20s, maybe early 30s. Now, Jon Jones only wants to fight fighters who are his age right now, or a little older than him. Why? Well, because a lot of these fighters who are older than him, their knees have gone bad, their chins have gone bad, They're not as fast as they once were. They're probably going to get knocked out easier because if you guys don't know this, the more you get knocked out, the easier it is to knock you out later on. So let's say I get knocked out once in a fight, completely TKO'd, right? I'm knocked unconscious completely. Let's say after that, I go to fight again a few months later. I go to fight again, I get knocked out again. It's going to be easier to knock me out that second time than it was the first time. The more you get knocked out, the easier it is for you to get knocked out. And when you're talking about someone who's been fighting for 5, 10, 15 years like that, they've probably gotten knocked out a few times or just hit in the head in general. So it's going to be a lot easier to knock them out. Jon Jones, admittedly, he has been hit in the head a lot. He's never been knocked out. He's never been hit in the head too hard or that, often. He's been hit in the head a lot during his career, but not as often as a lot of other fighters in the light heavyweight division and the heavyweight division, okay? So what I'm saying here is he wants to fight other fighters who are his age or older than him because at that age they're going to be weaker than what they were in their prime and etc. He doesn't want to risk his legacy and his win streak and his record and everything on Tom Aspinall because Jon Jones knows that there is a high probability of Tom Aspinall beating him. Now, a lot of you Jon Jones glazers are going to be like, oh, well, how does Tom Aspinall beat Jon Jones? Okay, well, let's get into it. Tom Aspinall hits and kicks a lot harder than Jon Jones. The thing with Jon Jones is, don't get me wrong, he has good striking and everything, but his striking has never had that much force to them. So what Jon Jones does is, over the rounds, he will constantly hit you and everything, but they're not that hard. So what happens is, over the course of rounds and everything, you're going to get extremely tired and everything else. You're going to sweat a lot more. And the more you sweat, the more dehydrated you get. The more dehydrated, the less water is in your brain. The less water that's in your brain, the smaller your brain's going to get. And how a knockout works is when you get hit so hard that your brain starts hitting the walls of your skull and it goes back and forth, right? And it creates a vacuum. When you dehydrate, your brain shrivels up a bit, and that gap in between your skull and your brain gets a lot larger. And when you get hit, it creates a larger vacuum, and your brain rattles a lot more, therefore resulting in a knockout, okay? A concussion-based knockout. Jon Jones isn't really able to knock out people that fast. His knockouts have always been later in the rounds, later in the fight, towards the 4th and 5th round is when he's gotten his knockouts most of the time. A lot of other fighters have gotten knockouts in the 2nd and 3rd round pretty early on when they're in their prime. Jon Jones wasn't ever able to really do that because his striking isn't that hard. It's just that it was so fast and everything and so precise that over a prolonged period of time it was able to knock people unconscious pretty fucking fast. Or not pretty fast, but later on he would get a fast knockout. Tom Aspinall, on the other hand, though, he has amazing fast movement, precise striking as well, and he hits, I would say, 3 times harder than Jon Jones does. He hits really fucking hard in comparison. And Jon Jones is fully aware of this. And Jon Jones doesn't want to take the chance of him losing to Tom Aspinall because of him having superior striking power and superior striking speed. He doesn't want to take that chance. Now, another thing is, a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, Jon Jones isn't ducking Tom Aspinall. Okay, so let's talk about this then. Jon Jones has said on numerous occasions that he feels like Tom Aspinall has done nothing. Well, let's talk about some of the things that Tom Aspinall has done. Let's go and see. Tom Aspinall, he fought Jake Collier. Aspinall won by submission with a armbar. Sergey Spivak. Aspinall won by a TKO with knees and punches. He fought Curtis Blades. And what happened there was Aspinall did lose via a TKO knee injury, which, okay, that happens. Alexander Volkov. Aspinall won TKO by knees and punches again. These are his main UFC fights. He has had other ones, but here, people are completely dismissing what Tom Aspinall has done as a interim champion. Okay? Now, Jon Jones knows that Aspinall's going to fuck him up. He says, oh, well, Aspinall hasn't really done anything. Yes, he has. And Aspinall is a very well-rounded fighter. He has good grappling. He has very good jiu-jitsu. He has very good submissions. He has good takedown defense. He has impeccable striking, in my honest opinion. I just wish that Aspinall would implement more side kicks and everything. But admittedly, what he's doing is working, right? Another thing I want to talk about is Jon Jones is trying to fight Alex Pereira. Now, I love Alex Pereira. Don't get me wrong, okay? One of my favorite fighters right now, okay? But that is a fight that should never happen. Alex is most likely going to lose, and there's many reasons as to why Alex Pereira should not fight Jon Jones. Even though it's something I think they would both be down for, I don't think it should happen. Main reasons being, one, Alex Pereira has never fought in heavyweight, and it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have his first ever heavyweight fight be for the Undisputed Champion title. It does not make any sense, okay? What makes more sense is having a bridge of 2 or 3 heavyweight fighters that Pereira fights. If he beats all of them, then give him a shot at Undisputed. But even then, I don't think Alex Pereira currently is going to beat Jon Jones. You know why? Jon Jones is going to spam wrestling takedowns. He's going to constantly try and grapple Pereira and everything else, which that is Pereira's weakness. Even though we've never seen him lose to anything like that, I don't think we've seen him lose in the UFC other than one time against Israel Adesanya. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that. I just don't think Pereira should fight Jon Jones. I just don't think it should happen. And Jon Jones is so keen on that because he's trying to duck Tom Aspinall. And he's saying, like, oh, it's the money fight. Don't get me wrong. Pereira is a very popular fighter. His fights are the most popular fights in the UFC right now. But him fighting Jon Jones at heavyweight for the Undisputed title makes absolutely zero fucking sense when there's already an interim champion. And the fact that Alex Pereira has never fought at the heavyweight division. He's fought at middleweight and light heavyweight. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see Pereira in heavyweight. But his first fight being Jon Jones, no, that's a little goofy to me. It's a little goofy, okay? When there's already a fighter who's been in the heavyweight division for a while, has already proven himself as the interim champion, right? Jon Jones knows that he could beat Alex Pereira, most likely. That is why he wants to fight him. He doesn't want to fight anyone who is a actual genuine threat to him. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say Pereira isn't a threat to him. If Pereira hits Jon Jones with that fucking left hook, Jon Jones is cooked. But I just don't see that happening. Unfortunately, I don't. Now, another point to make here is Jon Jones, when he fought Daniel Cormier the first time, Daniel Cormier was 36 years old, Jon Jones was 22. When they fought the second time, Daniel Cormier was 38 and Jon Jones was 24. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that. Now that Jon Jones is that age, he doesn't want to fight the younger guy. He's scared of losing. Now, that's why Jon Jones is fighting all these fighters who are his age or older and wants to fight Alex Pereira. But here's the thing. The fight with Pereira makes absolutely zero fucking sense. The fight with Tom Aspinall is what makes the most sense. And it would be the most important fight in the heavyweight division. It would be. Because of the fact it finally shows us who the best heavyweight is currently. Don't get me wrong. There have been very many great heavyweights. Don't get me wrong on that. I think DC is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. You know. But Jon Jones doesn't want to do what DC did. DC fought in his older age. and did well. And I genuinely think if it wasn't for Jon Jones dirty fighting and being on steroids and cocaine and shit during those fights, DC would have won. He would have won, in my honest opinion. But my general point here is Jon Jones is blatantly ducking Tom Aspinall. Oh, Tom Aspinall hasn't done much. I don't want to put my legacy on the line. Oh, the Alex Pereira fight is where the money fights at. It's just a whole bunch of hippity hoopla. It's a whole bunch of fucking just baloney. The fight with Tom Aspinall needs to happen. I think, genuinely speaking, if Jon Jones refuses to fight the interim champion, his undisputed champion title should be stripped from him entirely. We're gonna, like, it makes no sense. Let's say Jon Jones retires like he says. Let's say the UFC is like, because Jon Jones says the only another way to prove that he's ducking is, Jon Jones said, I'm gonna demand a lot of money to fight Aspinall, meaning he's probably gonna want, like, I would say $25 to $50 million to fight fucking Tom Aspinall, which is bullshit. So let's say Jon Jones retires like he says he's going to. Do you know what happens then? Tom Aspinall gets the undisputed title because Jon Jones retires. That's what happens. And that would just be so depressing to see that this fucking coward isn't man enough to fight a fighter who is genuinely good enough to prove that he should be the undisputed champion. He has the capability to do it. He has all the time. He has everything he needs. But Jon Jones is like, I'm not going to do it. Like, what the fuck? He's acting like a baby. You know what I mean? He's acting like a big old baby about it. Come on, just fight him. Like, I know the likelihood of it is extremely low. But Jon Jones, if you're watching this, quit being a fucking pussy. Fight Tom Aspinall. It's going to be the most important fight of the heavyweight division. But you know what would have been more of an important fight? If you actually fought Francis Ngannou like you said you were going to. But nope. Jon Jones didn't have the balls to do that either. You see, Jon Jones is not going to fight anyone that he knows is most likely going to beat him. There's only one exception to that, and that was when he fought Rampage Jackson. All glory to Rampage Jackson, by the way, another amazing fighter. But my point is, Jon Jones is being a pussy. He's ducking Tom Aspinall. He needs to fight Tom Aspinall. And let's say Jon Jones does beat... I don't think it would happen. I think Tom Aspinall is going to ragdoll Jon Jones. But let's say Jon beats Aspinall. Okay, you've proven your point. But because of the fact that you're not having the balls to do it, really says a lot about Jon Jones. Like, it really does say a lot. And it's genuinely a big spit in the face of the UFC heavyweight division that he's cowering away. He's having nightmares about Tom Aspinall beating him. Waking up in a cold sweat, piss all over the bed sheets, because he's scared that fucking Aspinall's gonna beat him. Like, let's be so real here. It's just genuinely disappointing to see a fighter who is widely considered to be the greatest of all time be a massive pussy. Like, genuinely. That is going to be all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like. And if you want to see more stuff like this in the future, feel free to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. And I will see you guys all later. Bye-bye.